Okay, so here we go. So first, just to talk about it, what we discussed earlier is about the reality and how it's built. The principles of reality can be very good to understand so that as our reality changes, how did the tantric people understand it? So first of all, let's just define what is tantra. Okay, obviously it's not, the American translation of what you think it is. But tantra, you can say tan means spreading, and tra means wisdom. So that which spreads wisdom. Okay, then we can ask, what is wisdom? Okay, wisdom is, of course, something that we have embodied. So it has to do with how we are holding, understanding, consciousness, wisdom in our body. So tantra is a way of how to spread that information. Then, of course, so we're dealing with Sanskrit, so it has many different roots. Another way we could say then, for Tantra or Tantric practices, is strengthening and protecting ourselves from worldly harm, right? So here we go, what we've been talking about. So right on the point. See, we can always find a way. This is how divine always work, that it's always interconnected. I didn't know we were going to talk about what we were talking about previously, but yes, how can we use Tantra to protect our spiritual path and make it more clear, right? So Tantra, also I'm reading here from Tantra Illuminated, this book I found right after I had graduated my shaman training, and I couldn't believe it. I was looking for some Kundalini books, but then this one, I just had to buy it, just lit up like bling, 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 get this one. And then, of course, I opened to the pages where I was studying the 5 Shaktis. So in my shaman training, I spent about 4 years studying the different Shaktis, which is divine energy in action. And that's part of this Tattvas as well. So we're going to dig a little deeper here. So Tantra can also mean stretching or to expand, because it stretches our awareness and expands our capacity for joy. Okay. Let's see here. We can also say tra is a device. So there's a device, and tan is expanding. So there are different elaborate practices that we're going to use. But first, we want to just understand, what are the realities? What are the principles of realities? And there are 36 of them. So we're not going to finish all of them today. Okay, well, let's run some Reiki as we do that as well. So while I'm speaking, you might feel tingly fingers, you might feel hot and cold, and hopefully we can fix Rosemary's phlegm and let that dissolve with our energy. So I'm setting up ceremonial space. So again, we'll just take a few more breaths here, in and out. So when I set up ceremonial space, I call in the directions, the energy of the east, the energy of the south, and the energy of the west, the energy of the north, and from above. And then we anchor ourselves into the earth and connecting down into the center of the center of the center of the earth, rooting down our Earth Star chakra. And I'm going to place my Earth Star chakra over me. I'm going to place yours over you. See if you could feel this. Okay. This Earth Star chakra is represented by a perfect balance of the yin and the yang, the divine and sacred feminine, the divine and sacred masculine energies. Okay. And then we call in the Reiki. So Gasho. And I'm going to seal your auric field. So if you've had, stuff, we're just visualizing yourself in a golden sphere of light. And I'm going to seal that aura so that you can hold your own energy from within. Let it feel wonderful. When we seal the aura, it's like we're circulating more and more energy that is of the highest light. And whenever we turn on Reiki, it is for the highest and the greatest good for you. If you find yourself yawning, getting sleepy, or falling asleep, or spacing out, that's kind of a risk when you do a lecture with Reiki on. Just let yourself go. You can always watch the recording later, okay? And naturally, we ask our guides, teachers, angels, masters, ascended masters. Let's ask the Dakinis and the Tantrics. Let's ask Padmasambhava. Let's ask for Hara Devi to come with us and just work on our alignment of our chakras so we can really feel more clear about the 72,000 nadis, the little points, and all of our meridians in our bodies. Okay, so now we're going to just explain how the reality is structured. In the tantric system, there's from Tattva 1 to 36 is the order of creation. And then from Tantra 36 to 1 backwards is the order of liberation. So we're going to start at Tattva number 36, okay? All of them are equally important, okay? And so we begin here with the first Tattva, which is earth, the earth element itself. Number 36 is the earth element. This is the lowest of the principle. However, these first elements can be experienced in our physical body avatar. So earth element, we experience it obviously in our bodies. And just because we can experience it, that makes it higher of value, right? So when you think of the element of earth and how we're truly manifested in this element of earth, on the earth itself, gives us this wonderful potential form where all of the divine can be fully experienced in our body. So this is the great thing about earth element. By itself, it stands for solidity, density, resistance, and groundedness. Okay, the Bij mantra, which is the root mantra that we use with earth, is Lam. So let's chant Lam, L-A-M. So inhale, Lam. 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 Just notice if there's a shift. Do you feel more grounded at this time? What can you experience? Do you feel more solid in your own experience at this time? So the Bij mantra of the earth element is installed at the level of the Muladhara chakra in the subtle body, which is, of course, the earth star. But the earth element, all the 5 senses, where's Deb? All the 5 senses are engaged in perceiving it. So there's a full body experience with this. And when you visualize the earth element, it's usually a red box. Hi, Deb. Hi, darling. Welcome, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, sweetheart. So we're exploring the 36 tattvas, which builds our reality, because we're thinking now, as we're changing, our reality is changing. How can we be familiar with these tantrics experiences? So we're having kind of like a lecture type discussion, and then we'll do just of 10 or 15 minutes blast towards the end of the time we have together. All right. So the second or the 36th tattva is water. Okay. And water element, it is connected to the senses of hearing, of touch, of sight, taste, and it's engaged in how we can perceive it, especially perceiving of hearing, you know, how we can connect into a deeper way like this. The silver moon is the abstract element of water and is pointing upwards like a bathtub. Okay. And sometimes inside of it is pictured by lilies, 2 lilies, flowers. Okay. So earth, water, fire is number 34. It's also called Tattvas. Okay. And this fire is more the sense of digestive fire or combustion. Okay. So what do we use fire for? You can also think about our heart with spiritual fire, right? A spiritual yearning. We got to have some fire. Put some fire under your butt. I don't know if you only say that in Swedish. To do something, to move forward, right? To fire it up a little bit. And here, the Bij mantra is Ram, R-A-M. Okay. The Bij mantra for water is Vam and Ram. Now we have the 33rd tattva, which is wind or air. So when I was in Mongolia, they were talking about wind a lot, and the element of wind in Mongolia, because it's always windy there, you know, think about the plains. There were the element was more like black color there. Here, the wind and the air is more about the vayus, like how our energy moves inside of our body. Okay, the vayus is interesting because it's how does it fill an empty space? How does the air fill an empty space? Like even think about the teacup. Okay, now I have tea inside of it, and the cup itself it's held in space. If we didn't have space or air around the cup, we wouldn't be able to distinguish from the cup and the space around the cup itself. Right? So here we have the principle of air and wind. Okay. And the element of wind or air, it's also showing mobility and how it's always trying to fill itself up. Okay. Here, the Bij mantra is Yam, and you can hear it and feel it, especially how the element of touch is seen. Who has felt the wind on your face when it was lovely and delicious? And then for us from Sweden, who has felt the wind on your face when it's burning? Yeah, and you come inside and your face is bright red from that cold air. Or maybe Deb over there on the other side can also feel it there. Okay. And then we're going to talk about Tattva 32, which is space, AKASHA. Okay. I love to think about space itself because it's kind of like the center. When we call in the directions, when we call in the center, it is space itself. Okay, this is talks about the 3-dimensional space that we experience in. Sometimes it's translated as ether, which is like the interstellar substance, but I feel like it's space or ether, it's very similar. I could really feel like it's similar. Space provides the context for the manifestation of all matter and all energy. It's like we call in the directions and then they come together as one. That is what the space is also holding, this energy here. So the sense of hearing is engaged in perceiving it, the sense that sound resonates through space and requires space to resonate in it. Okay, it is presented by a black dot or a big black ball, and you can visualize this black sphere as studded with multicolored points of light as well. So we're going to go over the next 5 also, and then we're going to talk a little bit deeper on an experience. So not so much instruction, okay? Tattva number 31 is odor, smelling, okay? So think about something that smells delicious. What are you thinking? Maybe a rose, okay? Maybe you can think about something that doesn't smell delicious. And we're already like, can you feel, just thinking about it makes a shift in our experience. This is the essence that I'm interested in. Just thinking about something that smells really bad. It's just like, the body goes like that, right? Flavor, raja. So flavor, think about a yummy flavor. Who has tasted those lavender pastiques? I love those, the smell of those, the taste of those, or flavor of turkey and stuffing with also very Duke's eyes are blinking now. Then Tattva 29 is the appearance, a form, a shape. And the Tattva 28 is tactility. And Tattva 27 is the sound vibration. Okay, so these subtle elements are properties of things that make them perceptible by our senses. Okay, sentient beings live in a world that are smellable, tasteable, visible, tangible, and audible. So by virtue of these qualities, sentient beings develop the senses corresponding to these qualities that we just went over: odor, flavor, appearance, tactility, sound, and vibration. Okay, the next 5 are then action capacities. Harmandriyas, it's called. It's 5 fundamental functions of a human being in relation to his or her environment. Okay, so evacuation, reproduction, locomotion, feet, for example, and manipulation with the hands, and speech with the mouth. And the 5 after that is the sense capacities. That's the internal correlation to the 5 subtle elements above. So we have smelling, tasting, seeing, touching, and hearing. So then we have 4 sets of 5 that constitute the 20 lower tattvas that we have now enumerated so far. Okay. So this seems really like common sense, okay? But if we now are changing, you know, the new senses that we're bringing in is intuition and imagination. And the yogis and the tantrics are also talking about that after. But let's see. When we start to bring in more awareness to these tattvas, the first 20, then the world starts to seem more colorful and more beautiful and maybe more spicy, right? So let's share a little example. Sometimes, you know, when we have had our meditations, how did you feel before the meditation? How did you see the world after the meditation? Have you ever experienced when the trees are more bright or the sunshine seems just more warm and delicious? So just the simplicity of organizing these 5 sensory organs and what they're doing and how we're structuring our reality of how we're seeing them. Isn't it so that you heard about the people, for example, that don't have sense, they can't smell, they actually have it's I've heard that they can become more depressed faster or have that experience that it's difficult for them sometimes because even digestion begins with smell, right? So if you have something that pops into your mind, feel free to just unmute and share about that. Anybody? So I can read. So we have the earth element has to do with odor and smelling and evacuation, and then the water is flavor, tasting, and pleasure and reproduction. The fire element is about appearance, seeing, and locomotion, movement. The wind has the sense of touch and feeling and manipulating things I'm doing with my hands, right? Space is the sound and the hearing, and speech is a vibration. So when we are in a lower state of mind, sounds can become very annoying. We don't see the colors as bright. So just think about a couple of times that you can remember in your experience where there was more color or where everything was more dull. Anybody want to unmute and share something? Anything
I think what you said, our frame of mind really has everything to do with that, right? So something could not really change its nature, but the way we see it changes. And that's very, very evident. I mean, I recognize that about myself all the time. So,
That's brilliant, because when we recognize, hey, things look terrible. What am I not? Where am I blocked?
Right.
Okay. So then we can do the tapping. We can take a deep breath, inhale, exhale, and shift that. Okay. But also when everything is brighter and we feel much more alive and alert, how can we then notice that? The first thing is about being aware of how it works, and then we can notice the shifts. Then without clinging or grasping, we can continue this unfolding or awakening or deepening and ride that more beautiful and intensified experience through the body. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the mind. Okay, so they organize our mind in 3 layers, so to say. And the first one is the higher and the more subtle tattvas, for example. I'm just going to read this first about the whole world becomes more vivid and real, more radiantly lovely, more full of life energy, not the relatively dull and lifeless world perceived by one who is living primarily in the mind, or the insubstantial shadow world perceived by transcendentalist meditators. So that means that they take the transcendental realm of the void as their ultimate real reality, right? Now he's comparing with this non-dualistic tantric, which sees that everything that we are embodying and experiencing is divine. So even sadness. They say, wow, she was crying. She was heartbroken. And how beautiful that you could experience this sadness, this depth of, absolute feeling destroyed, right? So they see it in this way. Okay. And as well as, wow, we were so joyous. We were coming together. We're experiencing rapture and enlightenment. And wow, how fantastic. So the non-dualists, especially these Kashmiri non-dualists, they see the beauty in all things, which for me is um it's kind of nice, but that's something that you can think deeper. And I know I can already hear your minds, but what about the war? What about this? What about that? What about, okay, good. Keep that in mind and just see how can we experience that. And if we go on a very, very deep level, there's tremendous energy that we can gain and use this life force energy to make a change. Okay. War doesn't stop with war, for example, right? So how can we transcend this duality of mind, good and bad, right and wrong, and use the power of experiencing an emotion, a thought, a knowing, an energy, a force, and then kind of unclog the imprints, the samaskaras, or you're a good girl, or you're a bad girl, or whatever, right? And as we start to loosen up these imprints, we can see more clearly, and then we can use this clear power, like this. I showed the power of fingers. It cuts through the illusion, and that's where we are heading. We're heading to these higher dimensions where we can make huge impact on the lower dimensions and reality we have as well. Okay, so this is actually real forces, just like you can feel your fingers tingling when I say Reiki on, right? How does that work? We're not even sitting close to each other, right? We're even in different countries. So if that can function, how can we still go yet deeper? Okay, so just want to be a little intriguing here so we know that I'm not sitting here just reading from a book. But if we know the basics, then we can start to break free even from the basics, and we can walk through the threshold and understand that, wow, if we really are opening our spiritual gifts in this exponential way, how can I then just know that I can turn the faucet on and the water will come? Imagine if you didn't know what a faucet was, but you really, really desperately wanted to drink some clean water, of course, not tap water as we know it of today, but maybe in the future. You have to first turn the faucet on. We are educating ourselves about a faucet and that we can turn it on, so then we can use those spiritual natural forces like a shaman used to do, like how we could dance with this deeper knowledge and then turn it on in ourselves so we can clear ourselves from the debris and the plastics and the injections and the medicines that we've had. And then we can teach that, of course, to our children, unless the children are already teaching us, but we haven't turned on our faucets in our ears so we could hear something, what they're saying, or pushing towards us. So this is just the concept. The more we understand what it is, the more we can use it. And if our mind has a structure, we can go beyond the structure. Okay. So now we're going to use the tattva number 16. It has to do with the manas, the mind. This is a faculty of attention and sense processing. How do we process the sensations of our mind? So this is similar to prana, which is life force, which is also Reiki, or the key of the Reiki. Okay, here we can talk about the 5 subtypes of the first parts, which is called prana. Here we have overarching category of mind, which in one aspect of the 3 aspects of mind is also translated as mind. So Tattva 16 is really manas, which could translate to the mind, but more accurately, it is the faculty of tension and sense processing. So the common function of mind, processing and synthesizing the data collected by the senses, it is also the faculty of attention, and thus the manas that needs to be gently trained and lovingly disciplined when learning how to meditate. Okay, so the ego, we talk about that next time, but because we're having now 7:22. Okay, so who finds it difficult to meditate? Good, but we're meditating anyway. This is also meditation. So how can we just pay attention to something? So I had a teacher, the one who started Yoga Works. She just came to my mind now. Her name was Mati, and she was this little Israeli lady. She was so powerful. I mean, she was super small, but she had a room of 500, like, listen, you could hear a pin drop when she was speaking. And she would say, when I first started practicing yoga, when she spoke like this is how she sounded. She's like, how can you make this pose more interesting? Can you be more interested in the posture? And I was like, oh, I'm interested. I'm here. I don't get what you're talking about. But now I understand what she was talking about. She was talking about how can you feel into it? Is there more flavor? Is there more awareness, right? How can you feel the Reiki? Oh, my fingers are tingling. How can I be more interested in the tingling? How come my fingers are tingling? How is this possible? Show me another way of expanding my interest in meditation. How can I have attention on something that is positive for me, right? Movies bring your attention because they are playing music, it's action, it's colors, it's a message, it's drama, it is like all things going on, and we're like, oh, like that. That's a little much, right? Meditation is not that. Attention on meditation is noticing, oh, my ear is itching. Oh, my toe is itching. Oh my God, I want to get out of this now. This is so boring. And then the tantric will say, wonderful. Can it be even more boring? Isn't that amazing how boring it is? Oh, what else feels horrible right now? Let's go into it. Let's explore. You feel drowsy. Oh, how wonderful. Why you're not like falling asleep, or, you can go more and more into the boring. You can go more and more into the most enlightened phase. So using this structure to go deeper into it do you think it makes it harder or easier to, for example, have attention then?
I think it would make it easier because then you don't place expectations on it being a certain way, That's what I like about it when I'm listening to you. I like
Yes,
the idea that something that would really be something that would be turning me off or making me agitated is actually the very thing that I can spend time looking at and not have an expectation on what it should be.
exactly. So what we're doing, we're redefining our reality. We're turning it on, the faucet. we're like, wow, how boring. Oh, wow, you had an expectation. Turn on the faucet. Wow, let it all pour out. Let it be completely, utterly boring and just devour that boringness, right? It makes everything possible, right? The things that seemed impossible is all of a sudden possible because it doesn't have to be a certain way. Every second, every day is a new opportunity. So we're ever evolving. You know, it's not like, okay, now you're going to go through this phase and then you're going to go through this phase and then this happens. And then, no, we don't live like that. We're living in a wild, cosmic universe in this body. So by having the structure of knowing, oh, I have this, I have to have these sense organs. Okay, that's their function. But how can we go? Where does that function even come from? I mean, we're simply light, we're simply vibration. Wow, how interesting that you can hurt your toe when it's not actually a toe. It's fascinating, right? So we can even dive into pain or a cough. Wow, I can cough. How interesting. And it's kind of like when we approach it that way, all of a sudden the cough is like, oh, you saw me. Okay, great. I don't need to be here anymore. You recognize that I'm here. And all of a sudden the cough is gone. Okay. This is why I find that this Kashmiri Shaiva tantric way of seeing the structure of reality is quite interesting, because now we've only done how many tattvas? 14. No, we have, yeah, I don't know how many we have. We have 14 left. We have 15 left after this, right? Because they're going backwards. So now we can see how it's going to help us deepen in our experience by having some kind of a structure. Okay, they thought about life in this way. And I will send you the pages if you're interested. You can read more about it until we go deeper into this experience of your reality. So the idea of today's contemplation was, you know, to understand the 36 tattvas. And they actually, Patanjali's yoga they had 11 less. So these guys have 11 more. So we're going deeper into this understanding of how can we see reality, and then how can we use this reality of experiencing our personal reality in a different point of view or in a new point of view. Isn't this amazing how that will give us a new sense? Kimberly Ann, there was raining. Okay, so she was expecting sunshine. You know, this is a very Swedish thing, because when you go somewhere for sunshine and it's raining, for Swedes, it's devastating, because when it rains one day, it's going to rain 3 weeks every day. So we're like, oh, it's raining. But, you know, when you go to Costa Rica, it might not be raining tomorrow. Who knows? But it's just like expectations, like you said, Duke. How can we also go further into that we want to avoid, right? What is difficult? What is boring? What is painful? Oh, let's dive into that. What is pain? Where is it coming from? Is it a story? Is it a sensation? Even the sensation, can you go into the sensation? Can you go around the sensation in your body and explore? All of a sudden, we are tapping into the faucet of superpowers. Okay, so I'll do a quick rearrangement of chakras, and then we'll take last comments. So if you're ready to receive Reiki, just open your heart and maybe invite some of your guides, angels, teachers, masters, universe, whatever you have. If you have a teacher or a deity or somebody or something, do it. If you don't have anything, just take a breath. And I'm starting from the crown of the head, opening your crown chakra, like that beautiful funnel of receiving inspiration and light into your mind, balancing the right and the left brain hemisphere. So we can open the inner eye, the one seeing eye, our third eye. Balancing our throat chakra that vibrates our unique soul's song. Vibrating your soul's song, speaking your truth. And then as you speak your truth, expanding your truth, playfully welcoming other ways, more expanded ways of seeing your life. Opening the heart chakra is simply about receiving and giving from the heart. And the more we work with the physical body, the more we work with meditation, the more of the imprints we clear, so that we're kind of polishing the mirror of reflection so we can see more truth. And we're going into the solar plexus, which is just from the diaphragm down towards the navel center, where our truth, our own sun, our own star power lays. And then we go a little further lower to the lower dantian and the second chakra of creativity. So we can expand our creative potentiality. We can create that which we like. And of course, root chakra about feeling safe, being able to explore new concepts, seeing truth from many angles, and feeling grounded. And then we anchor that fully into our physical body avatar as we connect like a battery, as above, so below, as within, so without, as our hearts and our soul, so reflected out in our daily life, in our universe itself. Soften the muscles in your body. Take a deep inhale, fully exhale. And bring your hands together in front of your heart, sealing in this wisdom practice, sleeping on it, marinating in it. So tomorrow when we wake up, we're going to see new colors, a new way of seeing our mundane with sprinkles on it. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is.